It's my birthday month, and probably by the time you're watching this, I'm already 37. Which is wild. I've been reflecting and overthinking the years behind me a lot, even more than I would usually do, and I realized how much things change in your 30s. And it's not only about the wrinkles or this new unknown weird knee sounds, but the whole way of thinking and the things you care about and the things you stop caring about. And you would think that after all of those years of inner work and therapy, you would finally feel healed and can speak all words of wisdom without any awkward disclaimers, but healing is not a final boss you defeat once and for all. And for the majority of those 37 years, I've been terrified of what people would think of me and that they might not like me. It was not always conscious, but if you zoom out, you can see that a lot of my decisions in life were influenced by that fear. If you want to stay humble and self-aware and forever anxious and question every decision you ever made, that works like a charm every time. And this squeaky, annoying inner critique voice is not as loud as it used to be like a decade ago, but it's still here, still present, and we're still trying to be friends and learning how to coexist in one person. And because of that, and in honor of my personal new majestic lap around the sun, I've decided to give myself an ultimate birthday gift, which is this video where I'm telling you everything I thought was wrong with me and how I've been dealing with it so far. It's the stuff that really stuck with me and rewired me as a person, and it's the things that I wish the younger version of me would realize sooner. But who am I kidding? I'm sure that early 20 version of me would already click away the halfway through the intro of this video. I'm glad that you're not like early 20 version of me. Most mornings, I just stand here trying to figure out what to wear, and it always takes longer than it should. Partly it's because I genuinely love the funky outfits, and I used to hide behind my clothes, and now I use them to express myself. But at the same time, if I'm being completely honest with you, it's not always just fun. I still hear that familiar whisper in my ears. Are you sure you're gonna wear something like this on that body at your age on a basic Monday morning in office? And you know, like some people had warm and supportive parents who praised them for, I don't know, breathing? Yeah, me neither, because mine were more like, oh, congratulations on not disappointing us completely today. And I know that high standards build character, also questionable self-esteem, but mostly character. But it was not only my parents. And add to that a delightful selection of grown-ups who treated childhood hobbies like Olympics qualifiers. Like a ballet teacher who told 5-year-old me that I have a wrong butt. Low placement, not a dancing body, and just a waste of time. Which is wow, what a nice thing to say to a child who still naps after lunch. And thank you, Madame Anatomical Accuracy, for making sure, letting me know at the age of 5 that my body is already letting someone down. Fast forward a few years, piano lessons. Cause nothing says childhood joy like being told your fingers are too short to play music. And again, it was just a small town music school, not a Juilliard. And for the most part, kids were there because their parents needed a break. And mine apparently needed a outsource of erosion of my self-worth, I guess. What I still don't understand is that why so many grown-ups back then treated me like a failed adult rather than, literal child. And this is a life lesson number 1. Not everything we were told in childhood needs to come with us in adulthood. I know it's obvious, but you don't owe anyone a lifelong subscription of their opinions of you. Because you know what? Yeah, I was terrible at etudes, but not because of the size of my fingers, but because I literally didn't care. But I was good at lyrical pieces, and I played them like they mattered. And quitting ballet actually didn't break my heart, because it wasn't my cup of tea in the first place. But if we're talking about dancing when early 2000s pop boom hits, does name Britney says anything to you? Because I practiced all of her aerials at home, and the girls from the ballet school who stayed eventually become my regular school classmates. And at school parties, they didn't Still the show, the ones with the perfectly located butts? I kinda did, they kinda don't. And the kids who mocked me up in the grade 6 for making up my own weird moves were the same ones who side-eyed the attention I got at grade 11, because I guess karma works in mysterious ways, you little bullying bastards. So am I bragging? Yeah, kinda a bit, but only because most, if not all, subjective opinions about you has nothing to do with how good you are at something. And especially if it's something that you actually love doing. So now when I hear this whisper of doubt, I gently remind myself that everything around already feels like circus. So why should I wait for a special occasion to wear some weird and dramatic stuff that I'm sure I want to wear today? My outfit wasn't extra enough, so I added a few layers. But where was I? Yeah, so your self-worth shouldn't be defined by the people who couldn't see it. Surprise, surprise! And the lesson number 2 is a direct sequel to lesson number 1. Consider this: what if you don't suck and you're actually doing good, well, at least okay, and you're just stuck in the wrong room with funhouse mirrors? Like, for example, I felt miserable at my previous job because everything I suggested permanently stuck in, oh, cute, nice try, but please let's never do that kind of a pile. And I can't remember a single project that I was actually proud of because every single one was butchered piece by piece by my dumbest boss. And I still remember these stupid notes he gave me to my work because they made me feel like I'm working with my eyes closed and my dignity on mute. But I had to go along with that because, like we discussed in my previous video, well, COVID plus rent plus groceries, mix these fancy luxuries together and you will get the idea of my situation at that moment. And even if you're not 5 or 7 anymore, but 30 plus something years old, still, after some time being treated like that, you start filtering your ideas through this fog of pre-rejection and just questioning your self-worth in general. Of course, eventually I left that job when I had an opportunity, and let's pretend it was a bold move, not just 3 years overdue, okay? But I got a new team and a new environment, and by the way, the same me, I didn't magically leveled up. But for some reason, new coworkers, they saw me differently, like they had a better glasses or something. And even the ones who didn't like me personally, they still respected my expertise. So please, just stop waiting for those people with blurry and warped vision to recognize your worth. Just get out and find the one who would see you in the focus, and bright and sharp and whole and free from borrowed distortion. And by the way, I'm at my workplace on studio, and I know that green on green is a bad idea, even if it's different shades of green, but this whole setup is just for the dramatic effect, so you would think that I'm working in a cool place. Which is kind of a cool place, so it should be like that. So a lot of the limits I deal with now, they aren't coming from outside anymore. They're self-imposed and internal and out of fear, out of pride, out of trying too hard to be the right person. Like my favorite little prisons, and you might know them as the word labels, because putting them on felt like building a safe zone. When you don't know who you are as a whole and in general, at least you can say who you are at the moment, like a multi-passionate person or YouTuber, miniaturist, INTJT, or hot mess with the calendars and journaling habits, and so on and so forth. And especially with the food. Like, let's talk about, for example, about my vegan era. In my early 20s, I stopped eating meat, and calling myself vegetarian felt empowering. People were curious and like I finally belonged somewhere and sure about something in this world of uncertainty. Like I had values and a sense of direction and the moral high ground that comes with tofu. Then sometime in my mid-20s, I've tried practicing a vegan diet. And even though it was completely unsustainable 10 years ago, living in a small northern town in Russia, I still followed it for 2.5 years to prove myself worthy of being one of the cool kids. Until I didn't. Until I got myself feeling guilty for wanting to be me, not the label I've put on. And it ended as spontaneously as it started. It ended the day I ate the entire tub of cottage cheese, which, by the way, I never liked anyways, and I had a thought, if I'm breaking my promise for this, maybe the promise was broken already, and I realized that I didn't want to go back. Not to the rules, not to the performance that comes with it. And a few years later, I looked at my vegetarian badge that I've been wearing for 15 plus years with the same suspicious squint. Was it a genuine preference of mine or just a leftover identity I forgot to question? So I tried meat for the first time in a long time. And I was happy to discover that it does not taste much good to me. And I can now eat a slice of pepperoni pizza and not spiral into a shame hole. But 99% of the time, I choose plant-based food. Not because I want to brag about saving animals or being healthy or a clean diet or something, but because I genuinely enjoy it more and it tastes better to me and it feels right. It might also change one day, I don't know, but right now it's true to me and everyone has their own truth. And I want to choose things because they bring me joy, not because they look good or make a great hashtag. Even if it's not easy to explain, and you don't actually have to explain what you are all of the time, because it's also a form of healing. So let me be me, and I'm okay with you being you. The next thing I'm going to say, you're probably not gonna like it. At least I'm sure that the younger version of me would definitely resist it AF. But you don't hate sports. What you actually hate is turning every physical activity possible into an act of redemption to your own body. But it's the habit that you can break. For most of my life, I thought I hated workouts because in my head, it always was tied to punishment. You sweat to shrink, you move to earn a dessert, and you suffer to see the reflection of a flat stomach in the mirror, and just for the record, I never saw it anyways. So no wonder I was internally fighting even against the idea of it. Every time somebody would ask me about any kind of sports, I would answer in the most critical manner possible because I know myself best, right? And plus, it's another cute label to put on, like, oh, I'm just not sporty kind of girl. That's all, just leave me alone. But a few years back, I did something differently. With no weight loss goals, with no apps counting calories or steps, with no guilt, I took a dance class for the first time in over a decade, just for the sake of joy. And then I climbed the rope park, and then I swam, and then I took a few hours walks because it felt good. And I realized that I do like movement, just the one that feels like a treat, not like a chore. And now I dance 3 times a week, and it sounds almost too good to be true, but it's not because I suddenly become very disciplined, it's just because I stopped confusing punishment with care. And it's definitely something I can pat myself on the back for because I stopped trying to earn my self-worth through suffering, at least in that direction. So for the most part, it's not about the pushing harder or willpower, it's about simply letting joy in. So the most valuable lesson I've learned here is that I've been confusing cause and effect all along. It wasn't fix your body to feel okay. It was feel a bit more and more okay, feel less under attack, and weight, emotional and physical, didn't need to protect you anymore. So please don't say you hate it until you become completely honest with yourself and just try it for no other reason than it feels so damn good. I'm telling you. And lesson number 5, I'm pretty sure you already know, but perfection is not a sustainable way of living, it's just a performance. But easier said than done. And when I make videos, I do not just make videos, I make like a 12 slightly different versions of the same shot, and I compare 10 almost identical fonts to write a title in a style that nobody would even notice, and I tweak brightness by 2% and then another 2%, and I rewatch the same 5 seconds in slow motions just to see if I really feel something. And when I finally hit export, I still wonder, should I've snapped that one word in voiceover? And in my personal quality scale, none of the pieces I've ever made is... nothing is over B-, and some people can call it attention to detail, and I would call it a part-time job that I never applied for, which is trying to control how I am perceived. But it's just a perfectionism, wearing fancy outfits, and it might look like professionalism, and it might sound like, oh, I just want to be the best version I could be, but come on, let's cut the BS and let's be honest, it's just the same old pal, your fear, just in a tailored suit. Because perfection is often just the performance of little desperate dance for approval. And meanwhile, other people, well, they just make. And yeah, sure, sometimes they make a mess, but they learn faster because of it. While I'm still tweaking the shadows on a thumbnail that nobody would even pay attention to. And maybe that's why I miss my early YouTube days so much. When nobody knew the right way to film or to color grade or to make animations, and me neither, and the pressure weren't there, and the bar of expectations was so low and the fun was so high, and even videos, they weren't just a content, they were this little clumsy weird attempts to connect to another human being. And maybe that's the point of it all. And I know it's hard to believe, because that is something I'm still learning the hard way, but most of the people, they aren't psychopaths, and they don't need a perfection, and they just want things to be done, and they just want you to be honest and show up and do your thing, your part of the job. Like Liz Gilbert said, I never promised I would be a good writer, I just promised I would be a writer, that's it. And that's something I'm still practicing and constantly reminding myself that not every video has to be the best one, and not every miniature has to end up in a museum, and not every project has to be a masterpiece or anything at all ever. And good enough is just more than enough. And that's all. Life lesson number 6. If you keep falling in love with the wrong people over and over again, I'm sorry to breaking it to you, but it's your fault. I'm sorry, but it's true, and I know what I'm talking about because I've been there, done that, so who am I to judge, okay? So as for the dessert, let's talk about the love life, because until my late 20s, it was the one thing that I really cared about. I really wanted to find the one, you know, with a soul connection and butterflies and fireworks and the whole grand production, and the one who would love me for who I really am, and the one who would give me that true love that I've been craving for my whole life. That sounds completely down to earth and realistic and not dramatic by any means. But long story short, and after more than 10 years of soap opera shit show, I finally figured out that I was better at fantasizing about love than actually letting it happen, and falling for people with time zones and trauma and drama and mixed signals. And I guess another lesson that I've learned the hard way, well, basically practical hard way, that you can't have a healthier relationship with someone else than the one you have with yourself. So put yourself first and love yourself the way you want to be loved by others. And that's it. I sound like a really adult, like a real adult. Blah, yeah, and I ruined everything, okay. But that was deep, right? I know. And being an adult, at least for me, comes with a very important update. You just stop actively hating yourself and punishing yourself most days. You know, until my early 30s, I was weirdly loyal to being mean to myself in my achievements and goals and diets and all or nothing mentality. And I thought that you're only good if you feel bad, if it does make sense. You know, if you're not struggling, are you even trying? And struggle means value, and if something feels too easy, you're clearly doing something wrong. But you know what, the younger version of Marina, you were wrong, because there is a shade between black and white. Yeah, they're so stormy outside. Pretty beautiful at the same time. And that's my point. And you could be all things at once, loud and soft and smart and silly, and the one who works 9 to 5 and still lives in Moscow rental and filming in my friend's apartment because my rental is too ugly, and married no kids, and the one who still enjoy creating miniatures and love dancing and making those little videos for internet, and the one who spend a suspicious amount of time choosing a pair of socks, but being not a brand and just a person with moods, with layers and seasons of life. And you wanna know the best part? Is that all of the seamlessly separate struggles like perfectionism and people-pleasing and body image and fear of love, they weren't the different monsters. It was just the same fear wrapped in a different gift trap. The fear of not being enough. And the good news is that when you start untangling the string, it pulls everything within. And love and work and even body weight. I lost like 15 kilos a few years back as unforeseen consequence of my therapy sessions. And also, if you stay to the end of the video and you resonate with the things I've talked about, I think that the word you're looking for is self-compassion. And if I can do it, you can definitely do it. So happy whatever day it is to you, happy birthday to me, and go choose you.